Hello, this is Andy Kowalczyk, Superintendent at Pinconning Schools, and this is the February edition of PASD Monthly. Pinconning High School began giving the SAT to juniors in 2016. We have an honor board that recognizes students who earned a 1360 or higher. Due to privacy of records, SAT will not give us the students' names that have met this criteria. If you or someone you know had earned a 1360 on the SAT, please let us know so we can honor them appropriately. Congratulations to our drama team for the youth production Golly Gee Whiz. Our high school students helped make the show happen by coaching and directing with Ms. Zaliga's guidance. Great job to everyone involved. A hot topic of discussion with superintendents lately is how do you cancel school on days with bad weather? I wanted to share some thoughts on how this happens. I'm normally on the road around 4:15 a.m. checking the road conditions. If a large portion of the roads are slippery due to ice or impassable due to snow, we would cancel school. Superintendents check with other districts to help identify bad areas and talk to the road commission to see what percent of the roads are clear. If the feels like temperature is a negative 20 or below, we also would cancel school. We will have snow-covered roads throughout January and February, so I hope parents discuss driving conditions with their teen drivers and about extra time to get to their destination. This month, we are lucky to hear from a family of motorcycle racers. We often hear about students racing motocross, but the Eddy and Myers family are involved in flat track racing. I talked to Caleb and Hayden Eddy and Evan Myers about their fun on the dirt track. Okay, I am here with Hayden Eddy and Evan Myers. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. First off, your grade.
So my name is Evan Myers. I'm in the 8th grade, and I ride a KTM 250.
So my name is Hayden Eddy. I'm 7th grade, and I ride an 85 and a 250.
My name is Caleb, and I race a Honda 50.
Tell me about the motorcycle type of racing. There's all kinds of different racing. What kind of racing is it that you guys do?
So we do flat track and ice racing. They're both in oval, and there's only 4 turns. So, then you start on the line, and then you come into the corner, and then there's one, and then when you come out of the corner, it's another corner.
Got it.
It counts as 2.
Would it be students in the same age as you, or could they be older as long as it's the same size motorcycle?
Yeah, there's age groups, with the dirt bike. You can have the same dirt bike, but they can be until a certain age that they can ride that dirt bike.
Great. What's your favorite part of the race?
Winning.
Winning? How about you?
Of course.
I like going down the straightaway.
Yeah, opening it up, going fast. Yeah.
Probably the straightaways,
Why do you like that?
because then I can just have it pinned.
How about your favorite memory? Do you have a favorite memory from any race that you've done?
Probably 2021 Nationals. And Nationals is like a thing where the whole entire country and the world really gets together, and they all verse each other in a showdown type of event. And I got second in that.
Cool. How about you? Any favorite memories?
I mean, not really, just spending time with my family racing and stuff.
Cool.
Probably when I got my first place in a national championship.
How about bad crashes? Anybody have a bad crash?
Yeah, I just had a recent one actually, I think back in May. But it was at this track called Baker's Bash in Mount Pleasant, and it's a half mile, so we're going about 80 mile an hour. So I went down the straightaway, and it just went back and forth. My hands went up, and the front tire, the axle broke, and that's what caused it. So the axle came out in the front tire, and it started flipping.
Yeah, so down in Florida for the Nationals, we just started up the race. It was the heats. And I go into the corner, and the person hits me from the back, and my leg gets ran over, and I think I broke it, but...
Yes, I had one really bad where they didn't fill in this bump, and I hit it with my front tire, and I fell down and got a concussion from it.
So, how about some upcoming races? What are you guys looking forward to?
There's one in June coming up. It's the Nationals for the 2024 season.
How about ice races? Do you have some ice races coming up?
Yeah.
If there's good weather?
Got Big Ben and stuff. I don't really know.
Yeah, there's Big Bend in Standish, and then Valley, and then I think in National for the ice but since there's no ice, there's really no.
All right. Well, good luck this coming year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We love to hear the amazing things our students are doing outside of the classroom. I was able to interview Taylor Moran and learn about his future career as a pilot. Okay, I'm here with Taylor Moran. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Taylor.
I'm a senior this year. Sports-wise, I do cross country and track and field. I used to do wrestling not too long ago too, but not anymore. I'm a member of the Pinconning Marching and Symphonic Bands. I'm also a member of Student Council, NHS, and Peer Mentors.
Awesome. I've heard a little bit about you becoming a pilot. Tell us a little bit about that. How did it all start, and where are you at with it right now?
Yeah, so it started with a family friend, Martin Schliega, took me up when I was a kid with my sister, and I loved it. So a couple of years later, the same family friend approached my dad, and he told him about something that he did called gliding. And so I actually started with that. It's a plane without an engine, and you get taken up by an actual plane, and you get released up in the air, and you glide your way down. There's only two places in the state that do that, Cadillac and Detroit, and I go up to Cadillac, and I'm a member at Wexford County Airport, and I glide up there as much as I can during the summer. More recently, just after I turned 16, I have been flying with Martin, and we've been flying out of Clemens Airport and Henry Brown Airport. Clemens is in Bay City, and Henry Brown is in Saginaw. We fly every now and then. We take some trips. Like one trip we went up to Oscoda County. We tried to go to my cabin in Mayo, but we couldn't make it. But he knew the owner of the airport, or at least the administrator or whatever. And so when we flew up there from Bay City, which is from Pinconning to Oscoda County is about an hour, and a plane, it's 28 minutes one way. So we flew there, stopped at the airport, went to the bathroom, and then flew back. But we've done flights like that. It's been bad luck this month. We've gotten canceled the last 3 weeks because of weather and whatnot. But I did get some good news last week. I got accepted to Western Michigan University in their aviation program, so I'm for sure going there.
Nice.
Speak of the devil.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the ultimate plan?
The ultimate plan, I want to pursue a career in aviation. Whether I go commercial or just stay private, I'm not sure. I was also, I have a family member who is in the aviation business, but she's not a pilot. She is more of a manager. I could go, she works for Kalita. I could go down that path if I wanted to, but as of right now, I'm starting out and that I plan on, say, becoming a commercial airline pilot.
So when you did the gliding, is it always just you, or are there two people, or?
No, so there is, it's two people. A glider fits two people max. I've flown by myself one time, and it was a very short flight. Each, like 15 minutes is about the usual short flight for gliding.
So pretty nervous that first time?
I was pretty nervous.
Yeah, I would guess. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Anything in school that has led you or that has helped with the decision to be in aviation?
It's my own mom, so I'm pretty sure it might be cheating saying that, but it's my mom's led me down that path. Yeah, and the school's been a good help too. Miss Palmville and some of our other counselors and whatnot. Even my own band teacher, Miss Corky, because her dad was in the Air Force, and before she decided to become a band teacher, she was going to go through the aviation program. So even she gave me some advice because she has some, she has some knowledge in the field. So, but this year I've been doing dual enrollment with Delta College to get some of the basic core classes out of the way before I go over to Western, which is saving me money. And through the school, I've been able to do that, which is great. Actually, I can get four classes right off my boat my freshman year for Western. So
perfect. Well, good luck, and we'll be excited to hear how you do as a pilot.
All right,
thanks.
you.
Our alumni interview this month is with James Gibson. Please send me an email if you would like to suggest an interview with an alumni discussing their interesting career. I was sent Mr. Gibson's career information and knew we needed to interview him and share his unique story after he left Pinconning High School. I hope you enjoy my interview with Mr. James Gibson. I'm here with Jim Gibson, and we're very happy to have him for our alumni interview. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, some of your hobbies, or where you live? What's going on?
Sure, absolutely. I currently live in Littleton, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver, right up against the foothills. I am married to another Pinconning High School alumni. Her name is maiden name is Tony Bularia. We both graduated in 1986. We have two daughters, Peyton, who is 28 now and lives in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. She's an engineer and has been there in Amsterdam for about 3 years now. Our other daughter, Devin, also an engineer. She lives right down the road, about 25 minutes in Golden, Colorado. You know, my main hobbies, we love to travel. We just came back from a trip to Italy for 2 weeks. Of course, with the military, we lived in a lot of different places, so we've had the opportunity to travel around. I'm also sort of a runner. I would have said I was a runner for the last about 12, 13 years, but I've kind of cut back a little bit. I did 2 triathlons last year, and so I'm trying to learn how to swim in addition to running so that I can do those triathlons and maybe do a couple longer ones. I am a sports nut, mostly Michigan State basketball and football. Keeping an eye on the Lions. Over the years, I have not gotten another team to adopt, even though I've lived by lots of different places.
Oh, that's great. How about the elementary? What elementary did you go to here in Pinconning?
I went to St. Michael's for
Okay.
or kindergarten through 8th grade.
Great.
So didn't go to Pinconning High School until the 9th grade.
Good. Cool. All right. So what do you remember about Pinconning Schools? Do you have a best memory?
So I don't want to take the conversation to a dark place, but I do want to make sure that I tell a little bit about my childhood, because I think it lets people know that no matter what your circumstances are, that you can overcome that and be successful. So my father died was killed when I was a week old, and then my stepfather died of a heart attack when I was 4.
Wow.
And my mother remarried a man who was not the best man in the whole world, and then later got divorced. And so, you know, that's kind of the background that I came living in Pinconning. I don't, ever really think about those things. I just know that, there are a lot of people that are going through difficult times, and there's a way to get through that. And so I will tell you that, as far as Pinconning High School, I had way too much fun and didn't study enough.
Oh,
I, I test very well, and so getting through high school was not, all that difficult for me. I do wish that at times that I had studied maybe a little bit more and got better grades. I did play football my freshman and sophomore year, and then my senior year, and those are memories that, again, as a sports nut, I love going out in the summer and having 2-a-day practices, being with the guys. There's in one particular game we were playing Taos my senior year, and I made a hit at the goal line, and you could literally hear it in the stands, and the coach on the sideline was just, I mean, he was going crazy. Of course, they scored in the next play, so
yeah. Short-lived, but it was still good. Yeah.
But those are moments that you just remember when you see, the coach is, happy that you made a play. And
yeah, it is. You have an amazing career that I'm very happy that our audience will be able to hear a little bit about. Tell us about your post Pinconning experience and career and some of those places it's taken you.
So I graduated from Michigan State University. It was a great 4 years for me. I did a Army ROTC while I was there, and then was commissioned in the Army. But again, I have friends now. Of course, I have friends that I keep in touch with regularly from Pinconning High School, but my college friends, I talk to them regularly. We still go to Michigan State once or twice a year to see a football game or a basketball game. Like I said, I enlisted in the Army Reserves while I was at Michigan State, joined ROTC and got commissioned about a year before I graduated. And then I came on active duty in the Army in 1990, right after I graduated. Of course, 1990 was about the time of the Gulf War. I actually had to graduate from my artillery officer basic school a little bit early, but even graduating early, the war was over and everyone went on with their life after that. So instead of me going straight to Saudi Arabia or to Iraq, I went to Army Ranger School and Airborne School, graduated from both of those, and then was an artillery officer for 2 years. The Army has a program where they don't need very many finance officers, and they don't need them they don't want them to really young. They want them to have some experience. And so I was part of that program where I left the Artillery Corps, became a finance officer, and I did that for 4 years. I went to both Somalia and Haiti. I was the first finance officer on the ground in Haiti. Air assault off of a carrier on a helicopter with $300,000 in a safe, in a one-drawer safe,
My God.
and live grenades and live rounds and all that kind of stuff too. So it was an interesting time. I applied for a program in the Army called the Funded Legal Education Program, which is where the Army pays for you to go to law school while you remain part of the Army. And then you owe 3 years of law school, then you owe 6 years to the Army in repayment. So I went to William and Mary Law School on the Army's dime, graduated in 1999, and then 17 years, 18 years really. After that, I served as a Judge Advocate General, JAG officer in the Army. Did just about every assignment that a JAG officer could do. I spent about 5 years plus as either a prosecutor or a senior prosecutor, including 1 year in Iraq. Prosecuted about 50 court-martials while I was in Iraq, which may not sound like a large number, but it's for, given that, the circumstances where you've got combat going around you, it is quite a few prosecutions. While I was there, we also had a program where we assisted the Iraqi government in prosecuting Iraqi cases in Iraqi criminal court. So kind of doing a dual thing where we were prosecuting U.S. soldiers for their crimes and then assisting the Iraqi government for prosecutions with insurgents. Most of the rest of my career after that deployment to Iraq, I was what we call a staff judge advocate or a deputy staff judge advocate. It's basically your chief legal counsel. You advise a commanding officer of a division or a command, usually a two or a 3-star general, and supervise other attorneys. So, for example, one of my stops was the first theater support command in Kuwait. I spent, I say in Kuwait, but it was actually at Fort Bragg with forward deployed in Kuwait and troops in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Egypt. I had about 30 attorneys and 50 paralegals between those 5 countries, and went back and forth continuously for that 2-year period between all 5 of those countries, really.
Wow.
Ended up second to last assignment at the embassy in Rome, Italy. I was the lead negotiator for the United States on basing agreements in Italy. And so we have seven bases, 2 Navy, 2 Air Force, and 3 Army in Italy. And my job was to negotiate with the Italian Ministry of Defense to get written agreements done on those bases.
Wow.
Italians are not well known for they are well known for their food and their other stuff, but they are not well known for their lack of bureaucracy, I guess. So we've been negotiating these agreements with the Italian military for about 25 years. And we actually got 3 of the 7 done while I was there in a 3-year period. So I'm very proud that we were able to do that. It took a lot of work and a lot of walking stuff through the Italian government to get it signed off on.
Thinking back on this, were there some things that prepared you for this amazing career while in Pinconning? Are there some things that you kept with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I look back on Pinconning High School, the thing that stands out to me is, the kind of the breadth of the classes that I took and the similarity to those classes with like the basics in college. I mean, whether it's basic accounting, I had Mr. Chapman for accounting 1 and accounting 2, and when I went to accounting in college, it was like, hey, this is redoing what I just did in high school. Same thing for chemistry with Mr. Kamen and algebra with Mr. Borton and biology with Mr. Kelly and Mr. Toth. I mean, when I took those classes in college, it was like, hey, I've already done this. I mean, I know exactly what I need to do here. And so, I was glad that, that I had those, college prep classes and, had done those. And, it was, even the humanities pieces of it. I took humanities at Michigan State during a winter term, and it was an 8 o'clock class, and it was hard to get up at 7 o'clock when it's cold and snowy and walk a mile across Michigan State's campus. And luckily, a lot of the subject matter was stuff that I had done at Pinconning High School, and said, hey, I can skip a class now and then.
You were prepared. Did you think your career would be going in the direction that it went? Like, did you have any idea in high school that this, you could be working JAG and all these court case type things?
I'm still winging it today. I could say there's very few places in my career where I had some type of master plan. I joined the Army because I needed money to pay for college. I really didn't have a plan to stay in the Army. I just needed to be able to pay the bills while I was in college. But I enjoyed the Army Reserves, and then when I got on active duty, I enjoyed what I was doing in the Army. I knew that the Army had opportunities for more education, and I was lucky to be selected for that. Of course, once you get selected for that, then you're locked in for the next 9 years. So I really didn't have to think about, well, is this something I want to do for the next 9 years? By the time I could have gotten out of the Army, I was at 15 years. So it's like, well, I might as well make it to 20. And then, I think we some of the things we did, we tried to find, Army assignments that worked for the family, that worked for the kids. For example, I've never been stationed in Washington, D.C., which is a huge place to go for Army JAG. And just because we really didn't want to necessarily have that, the long commute where I'd be away from home all the time and not be able to help out with the kids and other stuff. I mean, here's a trade-off because other assignments I went to, I deployed to Iraq and Somalia and other things. So
That's a long commute.
Whereas I might not have had it been in Washington, D.C. So there are trade-offs, and you do the best you can.
Yeah.
When I retired from the Army, Both both daughters were here in Colorado, and so we wanted to stay in Colorado, and so I did find a position here before I worked as an administrative judge. I worked as an ethics counselor for the Bureau of Reclamation, which in Michigan you're probably not familiar with, but they run all the dams west of the Mississippis, like Hoover Dam and those. Very interesting thing to learn about water rights.
Yeah.
And now I work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I hear cases from farmers. So farmers who apply for a disaster relief benefit and don't get it, or they apply for a loan, they don't get it, or even worse, where they do get some money and then the government wants to collect it back from them. So I hear those cases. Again, very interesting growing up in Pinconning, in a rural area. I've learned all about pecans and pistachios, which we don't have to worry about in Pinconning, but potatoes. I had a lot of South Dakota potato cases. I've had tons and tons of beef cattle cases. So it's an interesting, kind of full circle from coming from a rural area, seeing how farmers work, and now working in that industry.
That was great. So is there some lesson that you learned from Pinconning, like a most important thing that still applies today to what you do?
I learned at a young age, and I didn't say this earlier, but I probably started picking pickles when I was 6. I had a newspaper route when I was 8. Those were the door-to-door where you sell the newspaper. And then I had the newspaper where I delivered the newspaper, probably starting about 10. And then when I started high school, I worked at Pirtle's Dairy all 4 years in high school, during high school, and during the summer even more than that. And so and that's just not unusual. My brother did the same thing. My sisters all worked. And I think it's just part of our, family culture, the responsibility, accountability, hard work. And so I grew up with that as part of my family is, you're responsible for your own self. You're accountable every day to get up and do the work and whether that's, again, whether that's going to work or studying, if necessary. I credit on the studying part. Like I said, school wasn't particularly hard for me, but I got to geometry in the 9th grade, and I had been just used to, hey, kind of do my homework in class and be done with it during the day. But that was the first class where I got to, and I said, I can't do that. I got to actually study here. I had to go home and look at the book and do these problems. And it was kind of funny because I really didn't understand that until I sat down with the teacher and she was like, no, you actually have to do these things. And so I certainly appreciate that lesson that, hey, your job and your life and your family require and do those things. It's part of your responsibility and taking accountability for your life.
Great. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently while you were here?
So I would not have been the favorite of several teachers and the principal. I got in more trouble than I should have. And like I said, I probably could have studied more than I did. I was a decent student. I do wish that, I probably would have done a little bit more. I think my senior year, I chose some easier classes rather than to kind of continue
Push a little
with
bit.
some of the more college prep classes. I look back, I'm a first generation, college student. Neither my parents or any of my grandparents went to college. And so I think it goes back to, you just don't know what you don't know. I mean, I had no idea what to expect from college, or figuring out that that's what you want to do and making sure that you are set up to do that.
Yeah.
So I do wish that there were there were times that I behaved myself a little bit better.
Well, all right. I appreciate it. That's it for our interview. We really do appreciate your time. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the February episode, and we hope you have a great month.